So one of the most important things in polishing, I've seen a lot of guys skip out on it that are new to polishing, and not a lot of people see it through the works of when I buff or anyone else buffs, is actually a process called raking. Raking is breaking in a buff or quote unquote cleaning out a buff. Raking is simply taking these fibers here, you can see they're all tight back together and the ends aren't broken apart yet. When they're made, this is how they're actually made, just like this. Now we're gonna come in with a rake. A rake has sharp teeth on it. You can get these at Renegade Products USA. You can get them online. They're a phenomenal tool. And it's a simple thing that's gonna come in. I like to start at a flat angle. That's gonna take everything down on the top here, and then you're gonna slowly move into your side and your side. When you polish, you're not always polishing straight on. Sometimes you have some tilt out of the buff, sometimes you're angling. When you angle, you're actually gonna be using those edges to cut more than just the center. So you wanna make sure you get a good rake all the way around and you break up all these fibers. When you break up the fibers, it's also gonna let the rouge sink into the buff a little bit, so then it lasts through your polishing process and it's not just getting flung off of the buff and doing nothing. If you don't rake it, it's not gonna work properly. You have to do it for part of the polishing process. So there's a couple different ways to rake. If you watch from that clip that just went through of me raking out the buff, I don't use the handle for stability for the simple reason I typically don't have a handle on a lot of my grinders. I'm starting to get into it more, but anyone that's new should have a handle on their grinder. For one, a safety measure. Two, it's gonna make life a lot easier with raking. If you watch a lot of pros, they'll actually rest the rake in on the handle, and it gives you kind of a nice fulcrum point where you can now push onto the buff and slowly go in. Now me, I'm not quite used to it only because I never have it. And when you don't have that handle, it is very dangerous to rake not using it. It's very easy for this buff to grab this rake, pull it out of your hand, burn your wrist. There's a lot of different things that could happen. It can sling it somewhere. So I recommend that anyone getting into polishing, you're gonna want a nice handle on here. You're gonna rest the rake in here, and then you're gonna pull your trigger as you go. You can rake at any RPM from 1200 to 3500. You don't have to have the grinder at full watt 3500 to rake it. All it's about is breaking up these fibers, as you can see, to a nice little fluff. And then that's when you're gonna add your compound into it.